All right. Let me make sure. Centered. Hey guys. Hey guys and gals. Chris, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Hopefully I got good audio and everybody can hear me here. If my mic's too loud or anything's weird, let me know. Might just turn that down a bit. All right. Hopefully everybody had a good day today. I'm hoping my chat works. Hmm. Hopefully I didn't make any changes to it. It should. Oh, hey. Stuff is coming. Yeah. All right. Hopefully there's more coming because these are just mine. All right. Just a couple minutes here and we'll get started. We'll probably go a little early. Oh, thank you, Lights Out. Soul Palantir. Yeah, hopefully that turns out to be a good decision. That's actually doing really well. Oh, come on. Am I the only one? Oh, no, there are more showing up in chat. Okay, let's see here. Oh, they're all kind of purple. I might have to switch the chat view. I don't know if I love it. We'll see. At least it's working. With a slight delay. All right. So hopefully you all made a lot of money. I actually had a pretty good day. I made about 140K today across all my accounts, which is nice because, the last few weeks haven't been super great. Bitcoin miners getting crushed and just about everything else. Fintech was not doing really great, but I think some of that is changing. Pretty excited about that. Very excited about PayPal tomorrow. You guys will have to make sure to watch Future Invest, Tanner's channel. I'm not sure who he's all going to have on. He's going to probably have me and maybe Roy and a few others. Maybe Jeremy Lafarve from Financial Education. I'm not sure yet. I think he reached out. So tomorrow might be fun. We might have a really cool PayPal session. End phase, ouch. Is that going down still? Let's see here. Oh, no, got a little bounce. End phase is doing a little something. All right, let's see here. How close are we? A couple minutes early. Maybe we'll just go ahead and get started, huh? Maybe we'll just do that. People that aren't early are just going to have to go back a little bit. Made a ton of Palantir. PayPal is next. I hope so, Flip. Or Philip, not Flip. Yeah, I hope so, man. I think PayPal is set up for great things. I think the bar is really low. And that chart actually looks pretty sick. We'll go over that in a second. All right, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to run through my portfolio real quick. I think I'm going to skip doing that online and just do it in here from now on. It's easier. So today, just a quick glance. Arc Genomics looking great. At least the calls that I have for that are up 16, almost 17% today. That was solid. Lost a little bit of money on my Best Buy put. That's great. That's exactly what I want to have happen. I would prefer all my puts go to zero. That's the goal. Bitfarms CleanSpark did great today. I don't really have any calls. I got one just for tracking purposes, but CleanSpark crushed it. Up 12% on the day. Holy crap. I hadn't even paid attention to that. That's awesome. So I've been saying for a long time, CleanSpark is my favorite mining company. I think by far they're the best run company out there. Way better than the rest. They might not have the best numbers when compared to somebody like Mara, but again, I don't know. There's a couple of miners that I find questionable, and so I'm staying away from them. Not going to talk about them. All right. Hood calls everything fintech today firing off. Look at PayPal. PayPal, the real MVP. Hey, and I think I just made 15,000 a second ago. So make that like 150, 160 now for the day because it's going higher. Options are weird. If you haven't figured this out yet and you're in them, they don't settle right at close. They have after hours, and so they can fluctuate while calculations are going on and while people are still bidding into it. PayPal, a beast today with almost 50,000 in gains, setting up for tomorrow. If PayPal has a blowout day tomorrow, I don't even know how much money I'm going to be up. It'll be a stupid number. So you'll definitely have to turn into tomorrow's market rate recap if PayPal crushes it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to be in this other, I don't know. Well, I might have the recap later tomorrow. I got to figure out timing. I'll figure that out and get out to you guys. SoFi, again, SoFi did great today. I'm glad I bought all those calls. in SoFi yesterday. I'm glad I bought Tesla calls yesterday. I've got these going out to June of 2026. So I got a lot of time for this stuff to play out. And I'm already up, 4%, which is cool. I'm actually hoping that they go down further because I'd like to make more. Anyway, enough about my account. Let's move on. I'll try and keep up with chat, but I'm just going to kind of rock and roll through the major stuff. And then when we get to charting and other things and requests, I'll probably pay more attention. We actually saw market breadth today. We saw market breadth expansion, I should say. So we can see that semiconductors took a hit. I saw uranium came down a lot. We'll probably go over that in a second. Some of the big cap technology software infrastructure took a hit. Amazon took a hit. Google, Meta. These guys are just giving back, man. Verizon's in that list. These guys have made a ton of money, and they're giving back to the rest of the market, and we can't hate that. That's actually really good. Market breadth expansion is very positive, and we want to see that. Continue your session, complete brief verification. Are you guys still seeing me right now? Got a weird message on one of my screens that I use to monitor stuff. Let me see here. If somebody's in chat and can see me, please respond. Huh. 1 second here. Trying to verify. Just give me a second, guys. I am not. 1 second. You can see me? Did it go out at all? Got some weird... Yes, okay, cool. All right, so we're good now. I don't know, I got some weird verification message. I wanted to make sure things are all right. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. So again, market breadth expansion, we can see it all over this chart. All these smaller companies across real estate, energy, basic materials, utilities, healthcare, just all over the place, including auto with Tesla and Rivian, GM, Ford, like everything that has been getting punished started to come back today. And that's actually a really positive sign that I love. So I'm glad to see that. Oh, hey, thanks, Adam. Very kind of you. Now, what brought us up today? I'm going to say that it's probably two things, but I think the primary is optimism about China. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last, but I do think that there is, again, the CSI index, this 1,000 index is basically like close to the equivalent of the Russell 2000. And from the bottom to where it closed was over 9%. That was after a horrendous day down. This index in 2 months has dropped 33%. That is basically the entire downside move that the Russell did that took a year and a half. But they did it in 2 months. So China is not healthy in any way. Whoa, hey, thank you for the membership gifting, man. Really appreciate that. You're awesome. Thanks. Very cool. You guys click on that if you want a free membership for a month, man. That's awesome. Okay. So this China is not healthy. They're actually in a ton of pain. But I think that some things could be lining up that actually look positive over the short term. But I would highly encourage you guys not to invest in China in the meantime. I'm going to play a quick video here from Kyle Bass. He's not a huge fan of China, but he touches on a couple of points. It's only a minute and a half. I want to watch this real quick with you. So we're going to go ahead and start it off here.
Well, I mean, we knew things were bad. Evergrande, the biggest property developer in the world, liquidated, went bankrupt and now is liquidated. But when we see indexes fall 8% in a day, something's up.
Actually, something's down, but good to see you, Brian.
I left the door right open on that one.
Yeah, you did. This time it wasn't a revolving door, which is better for you, and maybe we'll get to that one day. But I think that when you have a scenario like Evergrande and Country Garden together have $500 billion worth of debt. Two companies have $500 billion. Every single property developer in China that's public or listed is in default, bankruptcy today. When the Chinese miracle, and I put the miracle in quotes, when the Chinese miracle was running its course, it was all real estate focused. Let's say all. The substantial majority of Chinese GDP growth was real estate and the concentric circles that surround real estate. And now you're having a reversal after a an unregulated and unabated climb in real estate. Now you're seeing a real estate collapse. So this is just like the U.S. financial crisis on steroids. They have 3.5 times more banking leverage than we did going into the crisis. And they've only been at this banking thing for a couple of decades, Brian. China is going to get much worse, no matter how much their regulators say we're going to protect individuals from malicious short selling. Imagine regulators blaming a 15-year swoon on their stock market on short sellers. It's just, it's hilarious.
Kyle.
All right, I wanted you to see that because I think you made a couple of good points there, talking about 3x leverage in the real estate sector before heading into this. They have a debt to GDP that's more than 2x our own. They're going to have to throw a lot of money at their markets to survive. So the gist of what I want to get across to you guys is it's great short term to midterm that China is going to have to stimulate a ton, because it will help. It will bleed out of China and into our markets. We will see capital outflow. We can already see in China that there are people investing in anything that gets them exposure outside of that region. So they're trying to, at least within their own bounds, invest in the United States or any other part of the world that can give them some kind of return. And that's going to go to Bitcoin and other stuff too. So this will benefit us over the short to midterm, but also nothing has really happened yet. There's just talk of meetings with Xi Jinping and the head of the economics division in the country to decide on stimulating, but they haven't done it. They've talked about like a $275 billion infusion. Now they're talking about like $1 trillion, but we haven't seen anything yet. So even my man Tom over here is getting excited and talking about the fact that this could be a bottoming and help with market breadth. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, but they haven't actually done anything yet. So keep that in mind too. But if they do, I will not argue about whether or not it will be incredibly beneficial to their markets temporarily and international markets. I just wouldn't be in them. I wouldn't take bets in China. Again, so many reasons why. All right, moving on. Economic data. This is the second part. The Red Book, year over year. This has to deal with retail. It was supposed to, or the previous read came in at 5%. Let's see, what does it say over here? No forecast on this one. This is just the read. It came in at 6.1, which is a great number. This actually, so just so you guys know what this is, the Johnson Red Book Index is a sales-weighted of year-over-year same-store sales growth and a sample of large U.S. general merchandise retailers representing about 9,000 stores. So this is a big sampling. Same-store sales are sales in stores continuously open for 12 months or longer. By dollar value, the index represents over 80% of the equivalent official retail sales series collected and published by the U.S. Department of Commerce. So the whole point of this is this includes all the big guys, and they're seeing an uptick, and a continued uptick that we can see going back to December. And if we go back here even further, again, this is a positive trend. I don't know how anybody can say that this isn't positive and this isn't going up. All right. Real quickly, I wanted to touch on a few things. So I think those were the drivers that made it to where we had a good day. It's about China and whether or not they're going to stimulate. And if they do stimulate, man, it's going to be a rocket ship all around the world. I think market breadth could go up a lot. And then again, I think the fact that retail sales looked really positive today was another good sign. Now, if you look at energy markets, they paint a different picture about the world. We can see uranium's finally getting crushed. I shouldn't say crushed because it's went up so much, but it's really starting to look like it could be topping out over the last year here. That's a significant pattern and a significant drop all of a sudden. Plus, China's driving a large amount of the uranium purchases, I think, probably for weapons. And then also because I think it's like 1/3 or a little, maybe 40% of the nuclear reactors that are being built in China. So they're the ones that have really been driving, I think, a lot of the purchase for it here. And then I think there's an arms race, and I think there's a technological race. So I don't know. Maybe it does well for a while. But outside of that, the rest of the energy sector has not done well. gas, coal, all these things are just weak, which is a sign of a global, macro issue. That's the kind of the point I wanted to make. Also, lithium. Everybody was very excited about lithium, titanium. If you look in here at these charts, they're dead. They're dead charts. The EV race is dying in China, and obviously, legacy auto in the United States isn't doing much about it either. Tesla still has demand. It's just a matter of getting the prices down because, rates are high. But if you look here, lithium is through the floor. Again, just lack of demand. And it's not just lithium. It's not uranium coming down. It's not like all these energy coming down. It's a lot of stuff. HRC steel, this is the heavy stuff that they use in skyscrapers, like what China was building for years. Look at this. It's just stopped. It's falling off a cliff. If we go down further here, we can look at all kinds of metrics. Ag is doing pretty good outside. Well, I should say there's a couple of sectors that are doing good. Coffee and orange juice, and that's about it. But if we go down to industrial and we look at year over year here, it's just red. It's just red. And on important things like urea ammonium is actually used for fertilizer. And if we go down here and look at this one, look at this cliff. Everybody thought like the end of the world was happening and it was just incredibly expensive. Now we're down to like base prices. So we're definitely seeing, like, when you look at commodities, inflation is just gone. It's just gone. So I wanted to make sure that I touched on that real quick. Let's move on. Oil. I said this is going to break down under the 200. I still strongly believe that. It just kind of hovered today and it went up 1%. I wouldn't be long oil. Next. The dollar actually cut back down under the 100 moving average, so that's a good sign. Again, I think this ties in with China because the dollar, if China was falling apart and collapsing again today, and we saw their markets dropping a lot, the dollar would gain strength. Why? People are performing a flight of safety to the U.S. dollar, the world reserve currency. So they're buying that, so that they can protect and hedge themselves from like the collapse of the yuan or the yen or any other trade in currency. So when the dollar's going up, that's not a great sign. It's not a great sign for what's happening in the world. So just keep an eye on that. I'm happy it's getting rejected here. Maybe that means we still have further upside. Somebody say Snap down 30%. Is that still a company? All right, Dow Jones. This is something else I love, okay? You want to see Dow Jones Transportation doing well. Industrial too, but I'm focused on transportation. It was one of the best performing indexes, maybe the best performing index today. Well, we passed 200 people watching at the same time. This is a record for me. I love that. Thank you, guys. But anyway, so the Dow Jones Transportation is usually a leading indicator for how markets and the economy are going to perform. Why? Because if it's going up, that means that markets are doing well. It means that we're seeing higher transportation. If we're seeing higher transportation, we're seeing more shifting of goods, and it's a great sign for what's coming next. So I want to see strength in the Dow Jones Transportation numbers, and again, best performing market of the day as far as I know. So that's great. All right, wow, I got a lot of. I'm gonna shrink that down here. Nope, not that way. Up here, please. Can I get this one? Can I get this? Just work with me. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so the S&P closed strong into the end of the day, and I love this. There's this little shelf building up here. It tells me that we're probably going to have more upside. Not a bad sign. Let me look here real quick. Oh, I don't want to do it this way, though. I want to get my charts. I'm trying to get better at this where I don't have like a million charts open at the same time, but I can still look at indexes or look at different... Oh, here, that's not it. Look at different indices and other investments and still have all my charting. NASDAQ was a little bit weaker today. That's probably because the big guys in tech probably, got butchered a little bit to give back to the rest. And I'm willing to bet. So the S&P was up. Dow Jones Transportation crushed it. Let's see how the Russell did today. Or let me see. Russell 2000. Let's check it out. Yeah, nice, beautiful day. Up almost 1%. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Russell starting to outperform. That's beautiful. That's great. All right, and I didn't pull it up the right way, so I don't have all my stuff here, but that doesn't matter. Let's move on. The MOVE Index. I don't know how many of you guys... Yeah, thank you, Christian. I really appreciate you, man. I don't know how many of you guys know what this is, but I wanted to talk about it. It's basically, you have the VIX, it's the volatility index for the stock market. The MOVE is the volatility index for the bond market. And it's actually kind of important. And one of the reasons I wanted to point out a few things here, going back quite a few years to 2008, is that it shows peak fear really well, right? So in 2008, we could see peak fear here occurred right around October 2008. Now, that wasn't the bottom of the market. It actually took a little bit longer. I think it was like March of 2009, right over here. But look at just the amount of craziness that happened in the bond market here. Way worse than anything that happened with the pandemic or the 2022. I call it a recession because I think it was. Way worse, right? But again, peak fear in the bond market was marked there. Now, what I wanted to show you here is that, again, this is the bond volatility index, right? So if it goes up a lot, that means things are getting weird. Now, at the pandemic, right here, right on March of 2020, you could see that this thing peaked. So that was the stock market bottom, too. So kind of fascinating how well this marks bottoms. Now, the 2022 recession, now, again, there's a little bit of a lag in this, but you can see the peak candle on the monthly. And if I switch to the weekly now that we're a little bit closer. Okay, you can see the peak candle on the monthly and then the weekly. This is, again, a little bit early, but it was too in the 2008 GFC as far as, being ahead of the markets and what was happening. So, well, I should say it's actually inverse in this one. So if we look here on the monthly, we can see that it's the bottom of the stock market in 2022 is right around October, November, right near the top of this. Now, we did have another little bit of a peak up here. Oh, and you know what? That's easily explained. That was like the really super temporary banking crisis that started and ended like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So that's why we had this extra little wick. But really the peak of it and the bottom of the market was right over here. And then once we found out the Fed was backing everything, nobody cared anymore. Everybody moved on. So that explains that. But the whole reason I'm showing you the MOVE index is nobody looks at it. But I think it's very important for it to show whether or not there's fear in the bond markets. And there isn't. There isn't. We actually have this broadening ascending wedge here. And then we have this little bit of support that's been touched a bunch of times. And there's rules about support and resistance. The more you touch them, the more likely you are to try and break through. And so my whole argument here is I think we're going to break through. I think we're going to start testing lower. And I think it's indication that the bond market just isn't as scared of what might be going on around the world right now. And that's the point I was trying to make. Probably could have constructed it better, but whatever. I'm new to this, so bear with me. All right, regional banking. Here we go. So regional banking today actually did all right. I've adjusted this by largest market cap. You can see how a few of them are up, chop, a little bit of down. You get into the smaller caps, you start to see them bleeding a little bit more. But outside of that, regional banks aren't seeing stress, which is great. More Hong Kong stuff. We could skip that. Basically, just stay away from Chinese markets. If you're going to trade it for a little bit, whatever, that might be okay. All right, I got to start off with the stock portion of this by talking about Palantir. This is pretty astonishing, and I'm so happy for everybody who bought Palantir. It's a great company, and I think it's going to keep doing well for years. But 31% upside in a day is sick. The stars aligned perfectly between what was happening with China, retail sales numbers looking good, and them just crushing their quarter. What a beautiful day. It's even up in after hours. That's so stupid. There's no reason it should be up in after hours after a 31% move. But here what I wanted to show on the chart here, what I'm kind of liking, is that despite the fact that we were going up, right? We got this upward, but we had downward bearish divergence and on both the RSI and the MACD, right? And convergence, bearish. But look at this, it's breaking up. If we actually get further upside continuation and we can close like maybe around 23 tomorrow or a little bit higher, I actually think we could start getting some bullish convergence here on the weekly. And I think we're already seeing it on the daily here. So I don't know, man. This thing might not be done as crazy as it sounds. This is definitely one of my favorite companies. This is how I made an extra 600 grand last year, was off of Palantir, by calling the bottom right down over here and then riding it up and then just making tons of money. So I have a lot of love for Palantir in the communities. Hey, thanks, David. Appreciate it, man. Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. You can become too big strike price. Idea that options and open interest can become too big. Yeah, can options open interest become too big? Yeah, theoretically. Theoretically, it could. It could become a target, but I wouldn't focus so much on that, especially with like you're probably referencing PayPal and maybe a couple of others. We'll talk about that. Maybe I'll jump in there in a little bit here. But yeah, I don't worry about it with that because there's so many different time frames for open interest on PayPal. Of course, and there's something else. I never follow these things to expiration. We'll talk about that in a second too. All right, so Palantir again. So I said, hey, we could have resistance at this fib. We're above it. Great. And then I said, hey, we could have resistance where it really starts to kick in. We have this line, this upward line. We'll see it there to $25. If for some reason we can get above $25, holy crap, this thing is going to be, I mean, the next step is 30. So we'll see what happens with it. Again, I would not be a buyer here, but maybe sell slow, right? Like maybe sell slow, but I would not be a buyer personally. I wouldn't buy anything that's up 31%. I think that's just asking to get wrecked. All right, real quick here. I'm going to move into a couple more things in the crypto charts, and then we can start pulling up other things. Probably pull up PayPal real quick too in a second. So I'm still loving Bitcoin. It still looks strong. We're still seeing that. Hey, Tom Nash, dude, brother, can't believe you're in here. Love you, man. Definitely subscribe to Tom if you don't, guys. So I'm really excited about Bitcoin right now. There's a lot of strength. And we're still seeing inflows outpace outflows, and all with 71 days left until the halving, or maybe just a couple more, depending upon what calculator you're using. But this is beautiful. It still looks really strong. It looks like it wants to test the next fib. And so if it does that, that is going to be, if we get up to 45, 46 again in the next week or so, man, I can't imagine what this Bitcoin cycle is going to look like. But I'm ready for it. Maybe not, but I'm excited for it. All right, so PayPal. This is my next one, guys. This is what I'm loving right now. Okay, so we got beat up last earnings, I think, on PayPal. It screwed us. A lot of fintech has done that, honestly. So it was nice to see Palantir actually holding up, but PayPal did good today, up 3.53%. For the people who didn't see it, I'm up 50K on PayPal today just in my options, and I've got until January 2025 for those to play out. I will sell them before that. That's just how I work. The people watch my options videos if you don't already. But here's what I like. We had this little breakout and it looked like a fake out, but we're back above the resistance line of like the last 2 years again. And we're testing up against that neckline of the inverse head and shoulders here. And so I think it's just a delayed breakout. I would not, if PayPal does remotely well on earnings tomorrow, then we could see $70, $74, $75, like for real. Hey, thanks, Tom. You're a good man, dude. I really appreciate you and all your help too and advice. So again, $74 could happen tomorrow. And if that happens, man, especially with the options, like shorts are going to get wrecked. Shorts are going to get wrecked because you know what I'm going to do? If I make a bunch of money on my options tomorrow, I'm probably going to sell like 5% of them. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy stock. And you know what that does? That helps support the stock price. So, and I'll probably do that the whole way up. So if we get to 104 in the next like 4 months, if we get to like the 100, 104 range, that's mean reversion basically to the fib line, which I think is totally doable. I'd give this maybe a 70% probability if we get market breadth and things still look good, like Tom Lee's talking about. I'll make over $2 million and I will pour a big chunk of that right back into the stock. So, and I'll do that because that helps support my options and it also helps wreck the shorts. And because I want this company to do well. They've had enough control of this stock for the last 2.5 years. So I want to help support the stock with the gains I make in my options. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll definitely take some of that in cash, distribute it out into other things. That's kind of what I do. That's what I did with, Meta calls last year, with Tesla calls last year, with Palantir calls last year. When I made over $1.25 million just from those 3 plays. I helped support the stock and push it higher too as I was selling out. I think that's a good way to support the community, and I think, but I bought other stuff too. So I did a mix, and I kept cash too. And I will voice that. I am 100% transparent, so I will do that again. But anyway, loving the PayPal setup, loving this heading into tomorrow's earnings. Very excited. Going to be on Future Invest channel with Tanner and maybe a few others. I would really enjoy it if you guys joined. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with chat, but it's hard. There's more in here than I would have thought. All right. So other thing in the crypto space. So Bitcoin looks good. PayPal looks good. I got some of these slides jumbled up. Apologize. But XMR is a privacy coin. I wanted to point this out today. It got obliterated. My friend Chris, he knows me in IRL. He knows that for years I've been saying, don't invest in privacy coins. You're going to get wrecked. The government isn't going to allow it. It circumvents everything they're trying to control. Invest in Bitcoin, something that is pseudo-anonymous, where the feds can still see the stuff that the drug dealers are doing. But at the same time, and so they actually have more control over what's going on. I shouldn't say control, more visibility into what's going on the Bitcoin network than they do with cash, right? Cash is what drug dealers and bad people use when they want to make trades. It's definitely not Bitcoin. And in the digital world, it would have been XMR. And that's why XMR is down and lost almost 40% of its value in a day because it got delisted from Binance. Don't buy privacy coins. If you do, you're asking to get wrecked. All right, Solana, real quick. Solana is up 1.58%. These guys had a network outage last night. They were down for like half a day. They fixed it, and now they're already back in recovery. This chart looks so sick and strong. Again, this one didn't even slow down at the first fib extension level. Didn't even slow down at it. It waited for the .382 and then took a pause there. But it's curling up and it wants to go higher. And this will be a leader. When you have each Bitcoin crypto cycle, there is a leader. And you can see that this is a leader because if you look down here at the RSI, it didn't even go under overbought conditions for more than like a minute. And then it just went right back up. It's using that as a support zone. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but it shows an amazing amount of strength. So I've got a decent amount in SoFi, probably about as much as I do in Ethereum right now, and there's a reason why. All right, XMR is only down 35% today. Yay, isn't that great? I just want to point out here that today, even though the weekly here, you could see that the altcoins have been getting hit. And if we go back to the month, though, we can see that they've done all right. The daily, they've definitely been doing all right. So you could see this is risk on, right? Like with everything else in the market, you can see that the markets were risk on. And again, I think that that's just an indication of where we are right now. Real quick, SoFi up 2.9%. Love to see that. I bought a bunch of calls on these guys yesterday. I think SoFi is going to inch its way back up. Won't be as exciting as Palantir, but it will inch its way back up because it deserves to. They had a great quarter. So I wouldn't discount them. All right, so does anybody want me to look at some charts real quick? Members obviously get first dibs. So if there's anybody who's a member here, let's see, Infor suffers. Yeah, Enphase will suffer until rates bottom out. I totally agree. They're doing all right. They're trying. Yay, I don't like Snap. Yeah, I don't know if I care about Snap. Let's look at Snap. Let's see, how bad did Snap get butchered today? Let's look at Enphase first here. So Enphase, you know what? Enphase is impressively trying, man. It is trying. Whoa, 7% after hours. Oh, it's earnings day for Enphase? Okay, all right. So maybe Enphase actually looks like it's trying to get a base, which is impressive, considering the fact that rates are going to hold them down. That's pretty cool. I'm actually seeing some support. I like that. All right, let's look at Snap, though. I want to see what a social media company that nobody cares about is doing today. 31%? Ouch. Oh. And the chart looked good. This is why TA doesn't work without fundamentals and macro. It doesn't. Because if I just looked at this chart today, and I didn't know what was coming up with earnings, I would be like, oh, hey, the chart looks bullish, man. Looks real good. Probably going to go up. Did it go up? No, it didn't go up. This is why you can't just look at TA. You have no idea what you're talking about if you just do TA. Because the fundamentals of this company must have sucked pretty bad. And look at that. People bought into this at $18.90. Now it's $12. $12. Oh, pour one out for your homies, guys. Anybody dumb enough to be invested in this is hurting today. Again, you can't, gotta know what you're invested in. To me, Snap is just a dying company, and I'm sorry if I'm trashing on anybody's stock, but I think it's a dying company, and I don't buy dying companies. People think PayPal's a dying company, and they're just not smart. All right, Tesla. Tesla did good, and I talked about this yesterday in the market recap. I actually bought a bunch of Tesla calls yesterday for 2.5 years out, June of 2026. Tesla is set up for a bounce. I expect us to go up to potentially like the 205 zone to close that daily gap. Unless as long as market breadth is good, that's probably what's happening. So, oh snap, that's actually pretty funny, Shale. Oh snap, that's funny. But yeah, I think Tesla can actually do well, and so I'm looking forward to that one. Let's see, HIMS. You know what? Somebody else was asking me about HIMS. We should be kind and pull that up. I'm going to go over to the Snap one that I don't care about, though. All right, HIMS. I got a friend who used to love this stock. Oh, hey, they look good. Wow, 10% today. Nice. Let me see here. I need to zoom out and get a broader picture of this stock because I haven't looked at it in ages. Wow, that's a chart. But you know what, though, man? Without knowing, and I know nothing about this company, and I was just telling you, charts on their own don't really mean much. So you guys will have to tell me if the fundamentals are good. I'm just going to look at this. But, oh, not the right thing. Let's go. Trend-based fib extension. Where are you at? All right. So, obviously, what was this, a SPAC or something? Definitely way too overvalued at $25. And then it went down to what? Wow, 90% drops. You got to love it. Here's what I love about this chart without knowing anything about what's going on with the company. It found support near this other fib, traded underneath of it for a bit, shot up. Then it found support under this red line right here is not only the next fib level, it is peak volumes for the history of the company. And it is awesome that it was able to find that and then go higher. So you got all this volume underneath of you now acting as support, and you got a market that's seeing strong market breadth. So barring fundamentals or the macro changing, the fundamentals could suck. I don't know this company. But outside of that, this is ready to fly if the macro stays strong. It could do really well. All right, let me see. Who else we got? HIMS, BITF. Hood, please and thank you. You know what? I'm awful fond of Hood. You're not a member, but I'm probably going to pull it out just because of my bias. All right, let's see here. Let's just pull up Hood real quick. Hood. Again, nobody liked Vlad for quite a few years. Some people are coming around. I don't think he's that bad. I think he did what he had to do. All right, so peak volume down here. Up here at the next fib, we're trading underneath of it, but we've got a lot of volume underneath of us. I would love to see this thing get above the .618 and turn that as support. So above like 12, 18, right around there. And if it does that and it turns that into a zone, it's ready to go higher. It's curling up. It's already been curling up. And I think, again, I've got a lot of positive messages. I made a YouTube video about Hood. Watch it if you haven't already. This is one of my multi-baggers. I mean, my options for this one, I'm expecting about 4 to 6x, which is a pretty good number. And I think I could get that in as little as 3 to 6 months. All right. Let me get back over here. Disney broke the downtrend. Yeah, Disney might be going up. I don't know. I'm not fond of the company. CLSK. That's a good one. Let's pull that up. And BITF. I can do that too. Yeah, so CleanSpark is up 12% today. Is there news on CleanSpark? Let's just see. What do we got here? CleanSpark acquires Bitcoin mining facilities in Mississippi. So that's the news. I'm going to have to look that up, make sure that I understand what that means. Oh, got a price target raised to $14 a share, or maintained. Yeah, it's going to do 14 easy. I actually think this thing gets to 70 in the next market here. Market cycle top, you got a quote from me. I think it goes to $70 a share. This is the best run Bitcoin miner in the industry. That's my take. They used to do other stuff back in the day, but they switched to Bitcoin mining a while ago, like before the beginning of the last cycle, maybe, and have done a great job. They use state of the art. They use renewables, so they don't have to worry about a lot of government backlash because they're using like nuclear, wind, water, like all this kind of stuff. And then they're doing liquid cooling too. Like and then they manage everything so well. Like these guys, the only complaint that people give about them is that they're giving themselves a lot of shares, and that's true. I mean, they are, but I think that they're smart enough to where they're not going to sell these until near the top. Unlike other companies like Cypher, where controlling share in the company or like giving it away to other people so that they can pay off debts and stuff like that. And Hut's a mess. They were Canadian. They bought out a company that was basically failing. And then Mara, I don't know, is Mara Pool up and running? Can anybody in chat tell me? Is that one running right now? I know for a while it wasn't, and it's like their pool for Bitcoin mining where they run all their miners. So again, those are the three that like sketch me out, and I stay away from things that have risk. FTX, I try to warn people. Voyager, I try to warn people. BitConnect, I try to warn people. All these things. Nikola, the next EV company. There's all these things I try and warn people about where I think they're scams or I think that they're not well managed and there's risk. And some people become advocates. They become passionate about their holdings, so much so that it's almost a religion to them. And I just highly encourage you, do not have that kind of conviction with your investments. It should never be the case, okay? You should never look at it as a religion. It's just an investment, and if it starts to suck, you get out of it, okay? All right, let me switch real quick. I do want to show, I need to start remembering to pull these charts up the right way. I wanted to show the actual chart with everything in it. So I said, hey, I think we're going to find a support zone. We found it. Now we're back above a trend line that started years ago, even before they were a Bitcoin miner, and now we're testing the 200 on the weekly. So yeah, CleanSpark looks great. BITF, please don't repeat the same message in chat. I would kindly ask that. I might end up taking out people who are not members' ability to chat if they abuse it. So I might just make it to where it's members only. So please don't put things in there 3-4 times. All right, Bitfarms. This one. So we're sitting under the 200 and we look like we want to break higher. You can see where we had left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So this inverse head and shoulders, we broke above and then we just kind of failed. And again, these patterns, it could still be playing out, but it's heavily dependent upon the underlying commodity, right? Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the decision maker, and Bitcoin has rules that it abides by, like global liquidity and what's happening with funds that are having to sell it. And so remember, these patterns on these are less reliable because of the fact of the mechanics that are underneath them and the rules that they have to follow. But I will say it's not a bad thing that this found support on the previous neckline of the inverse head and shoulders. That doesn't suck. Thank you, Nicholas, for going starter pack. I appreciate that. And that's not a bad thing at all. And then the fact that it's testing to the 200 is a good sign, and this next fib level. So if we see this thing start to break out and get above the 200 and get above $2.53 above this next fib and turn that into support, then I think we're off to the races again. But it's all dependent upon Bitcoin, whatever Bitcoin decides. What do you expect for earnings on PayPal? You know what? I don't have any expectations whatsoever in regard to what the numbers look like, and I don't even really care. Here's the only things I care about. Thank you, Wild Frenchie. Again, you guys becoming members, really appreciate it. Eventually, chat might be cut down just to get rid of noise to people that are at least starter pack. I think that's fair, because then it's like people that invest in the community and participate in it are able to ask for charts and do other stuff. And so I think that that's something that's coming in the future. So if you do want to be able to communicate in here, keep an eye out for that. But where was my thought? What was I talking about? I was talking about Bitcoin. Lost my thought here. Lost my train of thought. Underlying commodities. If you guys remember my thought, let me know in chat. Otherwise, we're moving on. All right, what else we got? PayPal. Oh, yeah, PayPal. Yeah, PayPal. What do I expect from earnings? So I don't know. And here's the only thing I care about: take rate. I want to see. There were awesome things. Nobody seems to. All right, thanks, Todd. Nobody. Oh, Alpha even. Thank you, Todd. Nobody seems to really be impressed with the merchant video that was created from PayPal and Alex Chris. Probably wasn't telegraphed well. The shock the world comment probably confused people too, and they were expecting like that video to shock the world, but that obviously wasn't the intent. But here's the thing. Cool stuff happened in that call. Might have been boring if you weren't a merchant and you weren't like trying to figure out if this thing's going to benefit you financially. But Fastlane, where people that aren't registered with the product can quickly like punch in an email and then be ready for checkout, just stuff where they don't have to like sign up for a service. The ability to hit your thumb on the mobile app and just like make the purchase. Everything you do to remove friction will increase the bottom line exponentially for PayPal. Exponentially. 1/4 of the commerce of the world is PayPal. Just keep that in mind. And so, I think it's the world. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And really what they need to do is they need to make their mobile app better. It sucks. If you don't think it sucks, try and go buy something somewhere and see how many different windows there are and options there are for sending and receiving and transferring and paying and QR codes over here and this and this and this and this. It's just trash. So he needs to fix that, and he needs to incorporate Fastlane, incorporate authentication, use AI, and basically a lot of the stuff he was talking about was very meta. It was in Meta, the company. It was making it to where you're using data to figure out if you can get another purchase for somebody, if you can make it easier for them to be able to buy, and get it to where that take rate is higher, and get it to where you're benefiting merchants. Big Commerce started adopting some of their newer tech, and they've got like a 70% take rate or something. Like, that's what we need to see. We need to see them operating with that. I could give a shit of the actual numbers tomorrow outside of that one, and understanding their forecast. And if they do well, and let's say revenue goes up or anything else looks good, I'm stoked. It's icing on the cake. But I want to see their vision, and I want to see what kind of progress they're making. That's what I care about with PayPal. All right. What time is it? 4 o'clock. We started at 3. So 45 minutes. All right. Let's see. What else? All you recent subscribers, alpha people, what do you guys got? Shop. All right. Let's take a look at Shop. And I could be a TA guy for Shop, but my buddy Tanner from Future Invest, he's the guy who you want to talk to about the fundamentals. He's really great with it. I don't have a layout for this one. Here, let me just pull it up here. I can always switch it over. All right, Shopify. Wow. All right, so we could be seeing resistance here, but honestly, man, it's already pushing up against the 200 weekly moving average. That looks pretty sick. That's a hell of a bounce off of 23. Lots of strength in this one. If the macro economy still looks strong, we saw that retail number today, right? We went over that. The retail sales number, let's see right over here. The Redbook Index, which makes up 80% of the big retail sales. With that sitting strong, thank you for gifting the memberships, Daniel. I really appreciate it, man. With that sitting strong, if that's still doing well, Shopify is going to do well. And e-commerce is going to do well, as long as retail is selling. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a market that is way more resilient than anybody ever thought it was going to be a year ago. So Shopify looks good, man. I like the technicals, and I like the macro behind it right now. But again, it's got to maintain. I'm going to do another macro video, maybe even tomorrow morning. And I'm going to cover in that like some of my concerns, additional concerns, and kind of what I think is bad in the macro. I gave a really great one a bit ago. But I'll have some other stuff that's good too, like demographic stuff, like number of people retiring right now and how that might positively impact the unemployment number. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, but it might be really difficult to get unemployment to go up. I mean, also too, we got like 8 million extra illegal immigrants. So at least with lower end labor, and then also people that are retiring, I think it's going to be hard for unemployment to go higher. So maybe that speaks to the Fed's case of being able to stay a little bit higher for longer. I'll talk about more about that in that video. Anyway, let's see here. So, Drunk Donkey, love the name. Is there room for PayPal with all the others established on mobile? Yes, they do a quarter of e-commerce. They are the elephant in the room. What they need to do is they need to fix their mobile app because it's trash. And he's talking about consolidating Venmo and PayPal into a unified platform, which I think is also brilliant. But they need to get it to where you just open the app, maybe hit your thumb to authenticate, and then you just literally hit pay. So you click a button, thumb, pay. That's what it needs to be for a physical payment. And then they're going to have it to where if you're on a screen and purchasing, you select PayPal, you authenticate with your thumb, and you're done. If you're just doing online. So those are great things. Again, people don't realize this, but PayPal and Venmo, like that combination, it is huge. This company's still been growing for the last 7 years. And that's where the price action's from right now. 6.5 years ago on PayPal, that's where the price action is from. And yet the company is still crushing it. Where do I have PayPal in here? I want to pull over. See, this is the problem with all the tabs. This is why I need to get better with my organization right here. There we go. So price action for PayPal right now goes back to 2017. So I'm going to argue that as much as this company has grown over that time, let's see where PayPal at. Okay. As much as that company's grown over that time, and the fact that its revenues have, if we go to yearly here, there's 2017. Here's where they're at now. Net income recently dropped, but that's a short-term thing. Active customer accounts much higher than it was before. Total payment volume higher. The only thing that sucked with these guys is margins. The biggest growth they've had is in areas that's not making them money. And they're determined to fix that. Hey, man, I'm sorry. NEO will not be one I'm pulling up. I don't do Chinese stocks. I just don't. I don't want people touching them. And so I'm not going to pull them up and give people the opportunity to think that I condone them and that I think they're good investment options. So nothing Chinese. All right, operating expenses. Again, operating expenses have been high since 2020. High. That's the kind of stuff where that 9% layoff should help OPEX. Debts are high. I don't like that. It needs to come down. But revenue segments, these guys have a bunch of extra money. Their net income in a bad, let's see here. Let's go back to the quarters because there's some of that was like, again, 2000 or 2022, like everything sucks. So yeah, looking more recently here in quarters, they're getting $1 billion in extra cash. They're buying back their stock. Their operating expenses more recently, look at this. This is before Alex Chris, have started going down dramatically. This is before Alex. Total payment volume over that time has been going up. Revenue segments going up. A lot of stuff looks really good here. The thing I don't like is the take rate. They got to fix the take rate. And that is what Alex is focused on. Number of payment transactions up. Transactions per account up. Operating leverage looks good. Expenses going down. Revenue going up. All that's good. But lowering OPEX, lowering expenses, and then getting the take rate up, which is his primary focus. That's exactly what he told you he was going to be doing. So that's great. That's what we want to see. All right, is NVIDIA topping out? I don't know, man. I could have been telling you that for the last couple of months, and it just keeps going up. So I don't know anymore with NVIDIA. It's hard to tell. Let's take a look here and see. I mean, it should be. Here's one take I have about NVIDIA and all the large caps. And I said this with Meta's earnings when they crushed and went up. What did Meta do today? Meta's down. Okay, that makes sense, right? And NVIDIA is down. That makes sense. And yes, it makes sense that they start topping out. Why? Because they've been running like bulls in a china shop, right? Like NVIDIA was at $107 in October of 2022. That is 15 months ago, 16 months ago. This thing was at $108, and it's at $696, almost $700. I'm sorry, if you're not taking some profits from that, so many other opportunities. Bitcoin cycle in front of us, PayPal, all these fintechs getting crushed, Arc Genomics, that's a 10-bagger potential. Like so many other opportunities out there than Meta and NVIDIA and things that are $1.7 trillion market caps. So again, not that you can't own this, not that it can't go up higher, but geez, man, like, I don't know, after something goes up 700%, I usually take some off the table. Call me crazy, but that's what I do. Even if I love it, even if it's a long-term hold, I at least take some, use that and redistribute. All right, let's see what else we got here. AMKR. I might look at AMKR. 1 second. NVIDIA, Rolls-Royce. I don't even know what the Rolls-Royce ticker looks like, but I'm imagining if it's anything like, is this it? Ord? I don't even know. Let's go to Britain. Yeah, okay. Wow. I don't know if this is it, but that looks beautiful. And this is like Ferrari and everything else. I mean, they're all... Money is like, people with money are spending. Ferrari is another sign of that. I mean, Ferrari's ridiculous. I'm sorry, this chart. That's all you had to do is just buy Ferrari. That's pretty good. Well, I mean, percentage-wise, it's okay. All right, CRSP. CRISPR, I don't know, maybe. I don't, it looks good from a technical level, right? If I look here, I don't know what the calls look like. I haven't looked at them. But this chart right here was a falling, broadening wedge. It's above peak volume. And it looks like it's trying to run. So maybe it could do all right. I don't know anything fundamentally about this company. I don't know enough about genomics to speak to it intelligently. That's actually why I'm in the ARC Genomics Fund. I let them do the heavy lifting. They might not even have the best stuff, but from a speculative point, it's a great opportunity because the calls on it can give me 10x to 20x in a year or two. So I like that. That's as far as I get into genomics right now. In the future, I might be more into it because I'm getting old, and so I'm going to need all the help I can get from it. Roku. I'm not a big fan of Roku. I actually don't know why Kathy Wood likes it. I mean, I don't know. And boy, did it have a descent. 488 to 38. That's rough. I mean, you're getting peaky. I don't know the fundamentals well. It looks like Q3 was kind of rough for them. They actually underperformed by a decent amount. But again, I know nothing about this stock. Looks like it could be establishing a base, but without fundamentals, it doesn't look strong enough technically for me to be able to tell you why. SMC high. I mean, that's one you don't want to buy. Yeah. I don't know. Are we reaching a top yet? Eh. How does one even tell anymore? You know what? Let's do this. Let's do a trend-based extension just to see how many. See if there's something here. This is so insane. I don't even know. I'll do it from here. Oh, get out. Sell. Sell. That's my SMCI. Get GTFO. Yeah, you don't want to be under that line. Yeah, because what's the next one? What's it going to do? Go to 3,700? 3,600? You think that's coming? No. I would get out. What did this do? Since 2018, it was $8. Since, where is it pandemic-wise? Jesus, man, this thing's freaking insane. Pandemic, it was $16, and now it's $681. Well, $675 because it's falling in after hours. Get out. Get out. Unless you know something fundamentally about this company that I do not know, this chart is the definition of parabola. This is the definition of a parabolic move. Two of them, really. I mean, a multitude of them, but this curvature and then the straight up at the end, the straight up. If this was Bitcoin, I'd be like 80% out right now. And I love Bitcoin, so get out. All right. ESPN, Fox, Warner Brothers plan to launch a joint sports streaming service this fall. Yeah, I don't love Fubo. I think I saw Fubo in here. I don't know. I'm going to pull that one up just for my own curiosity. Here's the thing with Fubo. There is so much competition. I actually started using Fubo. I got excited about it because I was like, wow, they're so undervalued. Like, look at how far it is from the top. But really, this should have never, ever, ever been as high as it was. Whatever that was about, that's just stupidity. But the part, and let me see here. I need to get the actual chart that I have drawn so I don't have to reinvent the world. I need to get better at saving these. I will get better, I promise. All right, so let's look at this beast. So we're way down here, and I don't even feel like we're showing strength. I wouldn't own Fubo. I used the service to test it out, right? I used the service. We're at peak volumes, but we're under peak volumes, or right at it, whatever. Doesn't matter. So I used the service, and it's all right, but you know what I found out? It's no better than Google TV that I use already, that I had before. And it actually sucked more, and here's why. On mobile, when I tried to pull it up on my phone, it didn't have the ability to be able to keep the display open and still like have it hover as a small little window on Android. And so it would close out, or I had to leave my window open, and it just burned tons of power. So I couldn't like just leave it going in the background and listen to like CNBC or something else. So that sucked. So it was actually worse for me than it was for Google TV. And I don't see what extra benefits it really has that stood out to me. And YouTube TV is just one company. They don't even need to make money from it. They could do it at a loss for a decade and not even care. So how does somebody like Fubo stand a chance in a world where they're going up against Google, and Google is just one of the competitors? There are so many more streaming services and like TV-like services. Heck, I think on my TV I got some for free. I get like local channels and like some other basic TV stuff for free on the TV without paying for anything else. So I don't like that world, man. I don't think it's worth being invested in Fubo. That's my take. Hot take. Yeah, I wouldn't be an SMCI. Uber. I actually don't like Uber at all. But I will say this. I didn't like them ages ago, and they've actually done pretty well. So, earnings. Looks kind of like a downward trend to me. But again, upside surprises. These guys, I thought there would be a good short bet for the pandemic. Haven't really thought much about them since. They do have, I mean, the stock is doing well, but how much net income? $221 million for a $145 billion stock by PayPal. By PayPal. Don't buy Uber. Nope. Nope. You know why? Because it could take a while, but eventually Tesla will get FSD fixed. Maybe it takes a year still. I don't know. But when that happens, this company is dead. Just dead. So you're not... So you're trying to invest in a company that has maybe a couple of years in it. They have no autonomous program of their own to speak of. I think they were affiliated with Google or something in some way, and that with Waymo shit should be. And it sucks. And you have to draw like digital maps, and then the stuff gets lost, and then people like jump in front of the car and put like a cone on the hood, and it doesn't work. LiDAR sucks. Tesla will prevail. They're going to crush everybody. So I wouldn't own Uber at a $145 billion valuation when they can only pull in $200 million in net. And you got PayPal sitting out here at what, 35 bill or something? What is PayPal even at? Where are you at, PayPal? I lost you again. Come back to me, brother. Anyway, let's just pull it up here. PayPal is what? PayPal is at, 68 billion. I must be thinking of Hood. But whatever. It's still like 40% of the market cap of Uber, and yet these guys can pull in a billy easy every quarter. PayPal. Enphase looks like an opportunity. It could be when rates are coming down. I don't know, Chris. I don't like it yet. It could hover down here for a while. But I also don't know the fundamentals really well for Enphase. I've seen a couple of quarterly meetings, so I can't speak to it too much. All right, I think I'm done. I'm burnt. I'm tired. I've done this for an hour. I got to get more stamina built up. But I appreciate everybody that was here. I got a record viewership tonight. It's awesome that Tom Nash was here. He's a good dude. I like him. And it's awesome that I see so many usual faces. And thank you for everybody that's subscribed for a membership. Even the $3 means a lot. And your membership eventually here, and I don't know how quickly I'll do it. It depends on how crazy chat gets. Eventually, I'll start to turn off chat for anybody who isn't a member. So if you even pay the $3, you'll be able to talk in the future and ask for charts. But if you don't, I'm probably going to end up dropping it off because It's just so much clutter. And just like my concept, and I should say my theology around verified with Twitter or X, it's helped me so much getting rid of the junk and getting rid of spam. So I love the idea of just having members being able to comment. I need to check into it. I think that's a possibility because I think it's better because people invested in it. It gets rid of any spam bots and kills them off. And I think it's just a better way to run. So if that's a possibility, I'm going to be incorporating that soon. Anyway, love you guys. Appreciate everybody for coming. And thank you all for spending some time with me. And I hope you guys have a great night. And would love to see you here tomorrow. I'm probably going to do one, but it'll be later since we'll have the PayPal earnings and I'll be on that other stream. So again, check out Tanner with Future Invest. I think that's what it is. I don't know. I'll check.